Is there still a point of order? Then wait for the microphone, please, and identify yourself. It helps if you stand up, yeah.
Meg Gage, Precinct 1. I first of all apologize to Mr. Slaughter for interrupting. A large number of us don't have that language. Could somebody just go through and tell us what the dates are in the amended proposal? Just.
I agree that it might be helpful to review all of the dates
Somebody handed them to
and
me.
explain
but
what they mean.
I'm not the only one.
Is there anybody who's prepared to do that?
Everything that he wanted to read is here.
I'm asking, is there anybody who wants to speak and explain the dates? Thank you, Mr. Bard.
Mr. Moderator, Joel Bard. So you all weren't the only ones who were confused, so I made myself a chart. So I'll just give the key dates. And one of the points, if I may, Mr. Moderator, to explain, if I may, while I'm up here, to explain the language in Article 7 that may not be self-explanatory.
Yes, in Section 7, yes.
In Section 7, thank you. So where the Charter has a date of June 1st for nomination papers being available, as you heard the chair say, the Select Board is prepared to make the nomination papers available tomorrow. And so what this language that you're looking at up here in Section 7 is stating, let me make sure. Right, so it refers to the possibility of the town clerk issuing nomination papers well in advance. And so that language would have the legislature ratify that early, if you will, the early issuance of nomination papers. So that's the first change, is where the charter says June 1st, it will be some earlier date and perhaps as early as May 1st. Then the date in the charter for filing nomination papers is August 1, and the motion you just heard moves that up to June 29th. The date by which the registrars then certify the signatures moves up from August 8th to July 10th. The date when the certified papers are filed by the registrars with the town clerk, that moves from August 10th to July 13th. There's a deadline for nominees to withdraw their papers. That was moved from August 13th to July 17th. And this is an important change. And this actually is what triggers this whole motion before you. The charter referred to the September election primary. In other words, the charter didn't have a specific date. And as many of you may be aware, that date had to be moved because the primary would have fallen on a Jewish holiday, and so it got moved up to the date of September 4th. So this date now in the motion you just heard is the date of the primary, whereas originally that date was a date about 10 days later, or a little more than that. And then finally, the date of the special election hasn't changed. That continues to be November 6th.
Thank you. That's appreciated. Yes. Wait for a microphone, please.
Can we please see the beginning of it so we can see where all these dates fit in? Because I'm looking at the Finance Committee report, and it's the old dates. So I'd like to see beginning with Section 1.
Yeah, I believe the motion script on the back table had all the beginning section, it's just section. So wasn't there a motion script on the back table?
I didn't see it. I picked up everything, and I didn't get a motion sheet.
Do any neighbors have a motion sheet that they can show? Because it's easier than showing it on the screen. The whole thing doesn't fit on the screen, so if we put the beginning up, some people will be sad that they can't see the end. So I'd say share your motion sheets with your neighbors. I hear a point of order.
Felicity Callahan, Precinct 9. I think the difficulty is that the precincts that signed in over there didn't come over to this table where there was a huge stack of the motion sheet. You had to come to this table to get that motion sheet.
Yes, as is always the case, and as new members learned in their orientation, new information is always on that table and old information on that table. If there's anybody who would like to get up now and get a motion from the new information table, motion sheet, you can do so, or like I said, you can share with your friends. Oh, is there somebody handing some out? Great, thank you. Anybody else need one? Just stand up or raise your hand. There's one, some couple in the third row there. Down in the front, Adrian. Yeah, I did say that before in my notes, but no one really listens to me. But always check the new information table when you come here. And new town meeting members know this. Experienced town meeting members should know it also. Not to be mean. Right. The motion sheet does truncate the end, but it is now in nice big print on the screen in front of you. So you can see the complete section 7 and you can see the section 8. As I was about to say after thanking Mr. Slaughter, is that the Finance Committee has no recommendation on this, and this will require a majority vote for passage. If it passes, then this special act request will be made. If it doesn't pass, it won't be made. I am now calling on Jerry Weiss to make an amended motion, and before he makes it, I'm going to explain what's going on, because it's tricky. Mr. Weiss is going to make a motion to amend the motion that's on the floor. The motion that's on the floor is the Select Board motion. Mr. Weiss's motion has different dates. What we're going to vote on first is whether or not we want to accept Mr. Weiss's motion as the new main motion or not. So we're going to discuss the pros and cons of Mr. Weiss's dates. We can also discuss the pros and cons of the Select Board dates at the same time. Eventually we'll come to a vote, and that'll be a vote on whether to accept Mr. Weiss's dates as the ones we will eventually be submitting. If we vote yes on that, then we come to a final vote on Mr. Weiss's dates, whether to submit them or not. If we vote no on Mr. Weiss's substitute amendment, then we're back to the Select Board amendment and we'll vote yes or no on that. Questions on the process before we continue? I see a hand raised, so get the microphone there.
It's not precisely a question, but I wanted to share information that was just shared with me. That's
No,
helpful.
thank you. That's not a point
It's
of order.
about the problem with the motion sheet and how you can see the proper motion sheet in print is available. But I
Okay,
will
sure.
stop.
You can talk about that. How to?
So one of the memos that was distributed from Mr. Bard's office, labeled number 3, that was found on the back table there, has on the last page the correct, unabridged version of the motion.
Thank you. That was very helpful.